This plane was flown to protect the United States on 9/11. Air arrival over New York. Lieutenant Colonel Duffy and Major Nash fly supersonic for about 15 minutes, arriving in New York airspace about the same time. Flight 175 crashes into the South Tower. Even if the jets had gotten there ahead of Flight 175, they had no authorization at this point to stop the plane by using lethal force. Waiting for clearance, realizing that they are too late to help and not getting any further direction from Needs, Lieutenant Colonel Duffy takes the two jets into a holding pattern just south of Long Island. There are too many other airplanes in the skies over New York for two fast-moving jets to enter the airspace. They have to wait for clearance from the FAA's New York Center. Flying supersonic used a lot of fuel, and after holding 5 minutes in with orders to hold for just a bit longer, Duffy informs Needs they are getting low on fuel. Needs decides to refuel the two jets using an air tanker scheduled for a training session and get the F-16 alert fighters stationed at Langley Air Force Base ready to launch. Tired of waiting for FAA clearance, Commander Mars declares agreement for the fighters' interception operations over New York. The rule gives the military authority to enter FAA-controlled airspace without permission during the extreme emergency. Just after 9:13, Duffy and Major Nash moved their jets over New York to begin setting up a CAP, Combat Air Patrol. A CAP allows fighters to identify threats and take actions against that threat before they reach their targets. New York Center finally clears the jets to maneuver at all altitudes, even down to the surface. With the clearance, Duff and Nash begins escorting aircraft out of New York airspace and diverts others from entering. The escort over 80 aircraft out of New York airspace and provides a vital sense of security to the stunned city. 5 hours after takeoff, Duff and Nash return to Otis Air National Base Guard. In the meantime, additional Otis jets have joined the protecting the country. Weapons free. Fearing Flight 93 is headed for Washington, D.C., Vice President Cheney orders the DCANG fighters to intercept and turn away the airplane that attempts to fly within 20 miles of the D.C. area. If they could not turn the plane away, they were authorized to use whatever force necessary. At this point, the DCANG are the only fighters with shoot-down authority. The DCANG pilots receive authorization as a weapons-free order, leaving the decision to engage a target and how to do it up to them. At 10:05, General Arnold of CONR Central Command gives Needs pilots shoot-down authority at 10:31. NORAD finally receives the official word from Vice President Cheney of shoot-down authority for any aircraft confirmed hijack. Pilots know what to do. Each pilot already in the air is asked if they can follow the shoot-down order. It would mean harming civilians in the air to protect people on the ground, knowing that the emotional responsibility they are taking on. Every pilot, including Duffy and Nash, acknowledge that they will follow orders. Fortunately, no pilot is forced to use weapons that day. The military has very strict guidelines regarding their role in air hijackings. When planes launch to assist with a hijacking, they are only to monitor and report what they can see of the hijacked plane unless given direct orders to do more. On September 11, 2001, an unprecedented attack on America. Almost 3,000 people lost their lives, among them 2,753 victims who died in the attacks on the World Trade Center, where 343 firefighters and 60 police officers from New York City and the Port Authority and a private emergency medical technicians and paramedics. And another 184 people were killed in the attack on the Pentagon. 246 passengers and crew perished on the 4 hijacked airliners, from which there was no survivors. The 2 F-15s flown by Lieutenant Colonel Timothy Duffy and Major Dan Nasty Nash were the first military aircraft to respond to the terrorist attack on September 11th. They were part of the 101st Fighter Squadron, 102nd Fighter Wing of the Otis Air National Guard Base. The fighter wing has been in continual service since 1921. The jet's serial number 77-0102 was the lead aircraft monitoring flown by Duffy. It carried live AIM-120 air ram missiles and AIM-9 infrared sidewinder missiles, a 20mm Gatling gun, and an extra 1,800 gallons of fuel in preparation for a training exercise that was supposed to take place that morning. It arrived over the New York City after the World Trade Center towers had been hit and were still burning before they collapsed.